I stand frozen in the empty driveway, my suitcase a dead weight in my hand. Morning sunlight glints off the concrete where 3 cars should be parked: Mom's silver Accord, Derek's black SUV, and the blue sedan the boys share. The spaces yawn empty, accusatory. My fingers tremble as I dial Mom's number for the 5th time. Each ring echoes like a taunt until her voicemail picks up again. "Hi, you've reached Nancy Mitchell. I can't come to the phone right now." I hang up, the house key suddenly foreign between my fingers, its metal edges biting into my palm. This key has opened this door countless times since Mom married Derek 3 years ago, but today it feels like it belongs to someone else's home, someone else's life. 2 hours ago, I woke to unusual silence. Our house is never quiet at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, not with Derek's insistence on early weekend breakfasts. Not with Tyler's video games blaring. Not with Alex's basketball bouncing in the driveway. But this morning, silence wrapped around me like a shroud. When my feet hit the floor, the stillness felt wrong. I padded down the hall, past the perfectly made beds in Tyler and Alex's rooms. No rumpled sheets, no discarded clothes, just empty, pristine spaces like display rooms in a furniture store. Downstairs, the kitchen counter gleamed, wiped clean. A single sheet of paper lay in the center, corners aligned with the edge of the granite. Watching the house for a week. Food and freezer. 7 words. 7 words to explain why I woke to emptiness. Why all signs of life had vanished overnight while I slept. 7 words with no mention of where they'd gone, why they hadn't told me, or why I wasn't with them. My phone buzzed in my pocket as I stood there, trying to make sense of the note. Mom's name flashed on the screen. "Lana? Good, you're up." Her voice carried that carefully cultivated lightness she'd developed since marrying Derek, the tone that pretended everything was fine when it wasn't. "Where is everyone?" I asked, my own voice sounding distant to my ears. "We're on our way to Hilton Head," she said, as if this explained everything, as if I should have known. Derek thought we needed a family vacation. Spring break came at the perfect time. Family vacation. The words pierced like shards of ice. Why? My throat closed around the question. Why didn't you wake me? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you take me? Oh, honey. That artificial brightness again. Derek found this amazing last-minute deal, but they only had room for 4. And you've been so busy with your photography project. We thought you'd appreciate the quiet house to yourself. A convenient lie, one among many that had built up over the years. The signs had been there all along. Derek speaking around me at dinner, addressing questions about my day to my mother, instead of to me. How was Lana's test today? He'd ask her, as if I weren't sitting right there, fork in hand. Mom's transformation had been gradual, but complete from the protective mother, who once challenged my 3rd-grade teacher over an unfair grade, to the appeasing wife, who nodded along when Derek suggested I was too sensitive or making things up when I pointed out how differently he treated me compared to his sons. The family photo on the mantel told the story clearly enough. Derek's arm draped over his son's shoulders, Mom tucked against his side, while I stood slightly apart, included but separate. The Christmas when Tyler and Alex unwrapped new gaming systems while I received a generic journal and scarf from the mall. The carefully casual way Derek always managed to be working late on nights of my photography exhibitions. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear splashed onto my phone screen. With shaking hands, I dialed Dad's number. "Hey, kiddo," he answered on the 2nd ring. "Everything okay?" "They left," I said, my voice breaking. "They went on vacation without me. They didn't even tell me they were going." Silence, then a sharp intake of breath. "Pack a bag. I'm coming to get you." 20 minutes later, I methodically folded clothes into my suitcase, tears falling silently onto my favorite sweater. I tucked my camera carefully between layers of shirts, along with the memory cards containing months of work. In the kitchen, I hesitated before scribbling on the back of their note, "Gone to Dad's. Don't worry about me." Before closing the front door, I paused by the row of family portraits in the hallway. My eyes lingered on a photo from before Derek, before the slow erasure began. Mom and me at the beach, our smiles genuine, her arm tight around my shoulders. I turned the key in the lock and stepped into the morning light, finally seeing the truth that had been there all along. My phone erupts with Mom's ringtone at 2:17 a.m., 3 days after I've settled into Dad's spare bedroom. The sudden noise yanks me from sleep, and her name on the screen sends a reflexive chill through my body. I answer, my voice thick with interrupted dreams. Hello? Lana. Her words rush out, high-pitched and frantic. Someone broke into the house. You need to come home right now. Home. The word hangs between us, hollow and presumptuous. What happened? I sit up, switching on the bedside lamp. The house was robbed while we were gone. Her breathing comes in short, panicked bursts. The police are here. Derek wants to talk to you, he says. She breaks off. Says what? My fingers tighten around the phone. Just come home. Please. Dad drives me in silence, the streetlights casting rhythmic shadows across his grim face. When we pull up to the house, 2 police cruisers sit in the driveway, their lights painting the familiar facade in alternating blue and red. The front door stands open. I step inside to find the living room transform drawers upended, cushions slashed, electronics missing. Police officers move through the space with practiced efficiency, dusting surfaces and taking notes. Mom spots me from the kitchen doorway and rushes over, her face blotchy from crying. Thank God you're here. She reaches for me, then drops her hands when I step back. Derek materializes behind her, his face hardened into angles I recognize from 1,000 silent dinners. For the first time in what feels like years, he looks directly at me. This is your fault, he says, his voice cutting through the background noise of police radio chatter. Mom doesn't contradict him. Officer Martinez, a woman with salt and pepper hair pulled into a severe bun, looks up from her notepad. Sir, we don't know that yet. My grandmother's jewelry set is gone, Mom says, her voice cracking. The emerald one from her wedding. It was worth $8,000. Insurance will cover it, Dad says from beside me, his hand steady on my shoulder. Derek's laugh is brittle. Insurance doesn't cover heirlooms. You left the door unlocked on purpose, didn't you? Mom's accusation slices through the air, stunning me into silence. Her eyes, red-rimmed and wild, fix on me with a stranger's hostility. What? The word barely escapes my throat. Nancy, Dad warns. Officer Martinez steps between us. Ma'am, was the security system activated when you left? A beat of uncomfortable silence follows. No, Derek admits. We were in a hurry. And who set the alarm when you left? Martinez directs this question to me. I didn't, I say. They were already gone when I woke up. I locked the door when I left to go to Dad's. She's lying, Derek says, turning to Mom. I told you she was trouble from the beginning. She's been looking for ways to get back at us ever since we got married. My lungs constrict. The walls of my childhood home press in, foreign and hostile. I need to check something, I murmur, slipping past them toward the stairs. In my bedroom, I stop short at the threshold. Unlike the chaos downstairs, my room remains untouched, bed still made, desk organized, closet closed. Not a single drawer opened. The contrast is stark and undeniable. Officer Martinez appears beside me, her eyes taking in the Interesting, she says quietly. It doesn't make sense, I whisper. Why would they ransack everything but my room? That is curious, she agrees, making a note. Downstairs, voices rise. I return to find Tyler, my 14-year-old stepbrother, hovering at the edge of the living room. When our eyes meet, he steps closer. I'm sorry they left you, he whispers, glancing nervously toward his father. I wanted to call, but... Before I can respond, the front door opens. Mrs. Kaplan from next door stands on the threshold, her bathrobe cinched tight around her waist. I saw the police cars, she explains. Is everyone all right? There was a break-in, an officer explains. Mrs. Kaplan's eyes find mine. Oh, Lana, you're back. I saw you leave with your suitcase just hours after your family departed. Such a shame you couldn't join their vacation. The room goes still. Mom's face drains of color. What time did you leave, Lana? Officer Martinez asks. Around 9 in the morning, I answer, my voice steadier than I feel. Saturday. And the family? They were gone when I woke up. Dad steps forward, his attorney's demeanor taking over. My daughter was abandoned in this house without warning. She called me and I picked her up. We have text messages that confirm this timeline. Derek's jaw tightens. She's always been difficult. Never tried to make this work. Something breaks loose inside Mia. Dam of silence, crumbling after years of pressure. I abandoned you? The words burst out, directed at Mom. You abandoned me first. You left me alone in this house without even telling me you were going. You chose him, I point at Derek and his sons over me for 3 years, and now you want to blame me because someone broke in after I left? Mom flinches. You've never tried to make this work with Derek, she says, but her voice wavers. If you had just what? I demand. Disappeared? Because that's what you wanted, isn't it? For me to vanish so you could have your perfect new family? The room falls silent. The unsaid hovers between us 3 years of calculated exclusion, of subtle erasure, of a mother who stopped defending her daughter the moment a new man entered her life. Dad's voice cuts through the silence, quiet but firm. I'm filing for full custody tomorrow. Mom's head snaps up, panic flashing across her face. Officer Martinez clears her throat. I think we have enough for the initial report. We'll need statements from everyone, including Lana, about when they last saw the house secure. As she speaks, I catch Derek watching me, calculation replacing anger in his eyes. He knows. I realize with sudden clarity. He knows my room was untouched, and he's trying to figure out what that means. I meet his gaze without flinching. For the first time in 3 years, I feel visible in this house not as the unwanted stepchild, but as someone they can no longer ignore. Have you ever been blamed for something that wasn't your fault by someone who should have protected you? The betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from a parent. But what I discover next will shake the very foundation of my family. I sit ramrod straight in the attorney's office, my fingernails digging half-moons into my palms. The leather chair feels too large, swallowing me in its burgundy embrace while Mr. Donovan outlines what happens next. Words like petition and primary custody and best interests of the minor float through the air-conditioned stillness. Dad's knee bounces slightly beside me, a nervous habit I've never noticed before. Once we file these papers, Miss Mitchell, your mother will have 14 days to respond. Mr. Donovan slides a document across his polished desk. The formal language blurs before my eyes. Petitioner Mark Mitchell seeks primary custody of minor child Lana Elizabeth Mitchell from respondent Nancy Lynn Sawyer. Carson, formerly Mitchell. Will I have to see her? My voice sounds small. A child's voice, not the 16-year-old I'm supposed to be. Mr. Donovan removes his glasses. Eventually, yes, but not alone, and not until the preliminary hearing. My phone vibrates again, the 7th call from Mom in 2 hours. I silence it without looking. She won't give up easily, Dad says, his hand covering mine. But neither will we. Outside, spring sunshine mocks the storm inside me. Dad's arm circles my shoulders as we descend the courthouse steps, protective and solid. The weight of his presence anchors me against the vertigo of everything changing. Ice cream, he asks. Like I'm 10 again and scraped my knee. I almost smile. Maybe later. The knock comes after dinner. 3 hesitant taps that make Dad reach for his phone, ready to call our lawyer if it's Mom. But it's Tyler standing in the hallway, shoulders hunched beneath his oversized hoodie, fingers clutching an old smartphone. His eyes dart past me to scan the apartment. She doesn't know I'm here, he says before I can ask. Can I come in? I step aside, bewilderment replacing wariness. Tyler has never visited Dad's apartment before, has barely spoken 10 sentences to me in the past year. I need to show you something. He doesn't sit when I offer, just passes me the phone like it might burn him. It's about why Derek hates you. Why he always has. Dad appears from the kitchen, drying his hands on a dish towel. Tyler? Is everything all right? No, Tyler says simply. Nothing's been right for a long time. He points to the phone. It's all there. Mom's old messages to Dad from a couple years ago. The ones she didn't know I found. My fingers tremble as I unlock the ancient Samsung. A text conversation opens immediately, dated 2 years ago. Mom's name at the top. Derek, how did the talk with Lana go about visiting my mother? Nancy. Disaster. Said she doesn't want to waste her weekend with some old lady she barely knows. I tried explaining how important it is to you, but you know how she gets. I look up sharply. I never said that. She never even asked me. Tyler nods grimly. Keep reading. Derek, that's incredibly disrespectful. My mother is dying, Nancy. Nancy, I know, honey. I'm so sorry. She's been impossible since the wedding. Called the boys annoying little monsters last week when she thought I couldn't hear. The phone nearly slips from my grasp. That's a lie, I whisper. I never said that about you guys, never. Tyler stares at his sneakers. I know. Now. Dad reads over my shoulder, his breath catching as the messages continue, dozens of them spanning months. Mom systematically poisoning Derek against me through carefully crafted lies, painting me as sullen, disrespectful, ungrateful, deliberately sabotaging any chance of connection with my stepfamily. Nancy had another fight with Lana about her attitude. She says your house rules are stupid and she shouldn't have to follow them. I'm at my wit's end. Derek, maybe we should reconsider the custody arrangement. If she's this unhappy here. Nancy, number Mark can't handle her. He's never been consistent. She just needs firmer boundaries. I'll handle it. I sink onto the couch, the evidence of betrayal illuminated in blue light. 2 years of manipulations. 2 years of my mother systematically turning Derek against me while pretending to advocate on my behalf. 2 years of confusion and hurt suddenly making terrible perfect sense. Why? The question rips from my throat. Why would she do this? Tyler sits finally, perching on the edge of our coffee table. I think, he starts, then reconsiders. After I found these, I started paying attention. The way she acts when he's around versus when he's not. How she never contradicts him. How she'll say anything to keep him happy. Even sacrifice her own daughter. Dad's voice is dangerously quiet. It crashes over me then, the full weight of my mother's betrayal. She didn't choose Derek over me. She systematically destroyed any chance I had with him. Created a narrative where I was the problem that needed solving. The obstacle to their perfect blended family. Something breaks loose inside me, a dam crumbling after years of pressure. Sobs rack my body, violent and uncontrollable. Dad gathers me against him, his shirt growing damp beneath my face. I thought it was me. I gasp between sobs. I tried so hard to make him like me. I thought I was doing something wrong. Dad rocks me gently, his voice thick with rage barely contained. You did nothing wrong, Lana. Nothing. Through tear-blurred vision, I see Tyler watching, his own eyes suspiciously bright. Alex and I never knew, he says softly. We thought you hated us. That's what Mom implied, that you resented us for taking your mom's attention. The pieces lock into place, the confused looks when I try to engage. The wariness when I offered to help with homework. The surprise when I complimented their basketball games. 2 years of missed connections built on deliberate lies. My phone lights up with a text from Alex. Tyler told me what he found. We should talk. Later, much later, when Tyler has gone home and Dad has made us both tea, I curl in the window seat of my new bedroom. The city lights blur like distant stars. What happens now? Dad asks from the doorway. The phone with its damning evidence sits on my nightstand. 2 years of gaslighting contained in a plastic rectangle. 2 years of thinking I was the problem. I straighten my shoulders, something crystallizing within me. I want to tell the truth, I say, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. All of it. The truth is a weapon and a shield all at once. It will destroy and protect in equal measure. But after years of living in shadows carefully arranged by someone else, I'm ready to step into the light no matter how much it burns. The law office smells of lemon polish and old paper. Dad's attorney, Miss Calloway, spreads the printed text messages across her mahogany desk like she's dealing cards for a game no one wants to play. These are damning, Lana. Her voice is gentle but matter of fact. Are you prepared for what happens when we present these to the court? I trace my finger over Mom's words on the page. She called your mother a witch when she was sick, Derek. I didn't want to tell you, but you should know who she really is. Words that never left my mouth. Words that poisoned 3 years of my life. I've been living with the consequences of these lies for years, I say, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. I'm ready for the truth. Dad places his hand on my shoulder, solid and warm. We don't have to do this if you're not ready, kiddo. But I am ready. I've been ready since the moment Tyler handed me his old phone. His eyes cast downward as he said, "You need to see what she did." My phone buzzes for the 3rd time this morning. Mom again. The desperate texts have escalated to voice messages, each one more frantic than the last. Lana, please call me. We need to talk alone. Sweetheart, there are things you don't understand. Derek is asking questions. What have you told him? I silence the phone and slide it into my pocket. Let's proceed. The family court building is all beige walls and squeaking linoleum. I sit with my back, the bundle of text message evidence tucked in a folder on my lap. Across the aisle, Mom sits perfectly poised in a cream blouse and navy skirt. Her makeup flawless, her smile frozen in place. But I see what others might miss, the slight tremor in her hands, the way she keeps glancing at the door, waiting for Derek, who is conspicuously late. When he finally arrives, he doesn't sit beside her. He chooses a seat at the end of the row, his face a mask of cold civility. The rumors of what those text messages contain have already reached him. Tyler made sure of that. The judge, a silver-haired woman with shrewd eyes, calls our case number. Before we proceed, I understand there's some evidence that's recently come to light. Our attorney approaches the bench, the folder of text messages in hand. The judge reviews them, her eyebrows lifting slightly. She glances at me, then at Mom, her gaze sharpening. I think we should discuss this in chambers, she says. All parties, please. The judge's chambers feel too small for the weight of what's happening. Mom sits rigidly, hands clasped as if in prayer. Derek leans against the wall, arms crossed. Dad stays close to me, a silent sentinel. Mrs. Mitchell, our attorney begins. Would you care to explain these messages? Mom's laugh sounds like glass breaking. Those are taken out of context. Private conversations between a wife and husband. Private lies. I correct her quietly, meeting her eyes for the first time. You told him I said things I never said. You made him hate me. I was trying to help our family bond, she insists, but her voice wavers. Derek was having trouble connecting with you and I... You fabricated stories about Lana calling your sons monsters. Dad interrupts, his voice tight with controlled anger. You told Derek she insulted his dying mother. Derek pushes away from the wall, his face straining of color. Is this true, Nancy? Did she ever actually say those things? The silence stretches like a wire about to snap. Mom's perfect facade begins to crumble, mascara smudging as tears form. I just wanted him to love me, she finally whispers, not to Derek or the judge, but to me. I needed him to choose me, and he kept comparing me to his first wife, saying how she would have handled things differently. I was afraid. So you sacrificed our daughter? Dad's voice breaks on the question. I sit perfectly still, watching my mother's tears fall. All these years I thought I wasn't enough. Not kind enough, not charming enough, not worthy enough of being included. But it was never about me at all. Derek stares at Mom as if seeing her for the first time. "I believed you," he says, the words falling like stones. "I treated her like she was the problem." He turns to me, his face a mixture of shame and shock. I should have seen through it. I should have. But there are no words that can rebuild 3 years of systematic exclusion. I simply nod, acknowledging his inadequate apology without accepting it. Mom reaches for me, but I lean away. Her hand falls limply to her lap as both her husband and daughter withdraw from her orbit. The judge clears her throat. "Given these circumstances, I'm recommending an immediate modification of custody. Mr. Mitchell, I believe your request for primary custody merits expedited consideration." As we rise to leave, I feel lighter somehow. The truth has not healed everything. Perhaps it never will, but at least now I'm visible again. I stand in the hallway of what was once our blended family home, watching Derek methodically fold dress shirts into a leather suitcase. His movements are precise, almost mechanical, like he's performing surgery rather than packing to leave. Mom hovers in the doorway beside me, her mascara smeared beneath red-rimmed eyes. "Please," she whispers. "Derek, we can work through this. Couples therapy, family counseling, whatever it takes." Derek doesn't look up. "There's nothing to work through, Nancy." The formal use of her name lands like a slap. "You deliberately poisoned my relationship with your daughter. For years." His words hang in the air between them. I shift my weight, uncomfortable witnessing their disintegration even after everything. Part of me wants to disappear, but I need to see this through. Mom reaches for his arm. "I was trying to protect our marriage." "By sacrificing your child?" Derek finally meets her gaze, his voice tight with disgust. "What kind of protection is that?" The question silences her. I wrap my arms around myself, Dad's borrowed cardigan soft against my skin. The house feels different, no emptier, but somehow less suffocating. Derek zips the suitcase with finality. "I need to talk to the boys." I step back, letting him pass, but he pauses beside me. For a moment, we stand shoulder to shoulder, neither looking directly at the other. "I should have seen through it," he says quietly. "I never gave you a chance." Before I can respond, he disappears down the hall toward Tyler and Alex's rooms. The conversation that follows filters through the walls, Derek's deep voice rising and falling, followed by bursts of teenage outrage from Alex and Tyler's quieter questions. Mom slides down the wall until she sits crumpled on the carpet. I consider walking away, leaving her to the consequences of her actions. Instead, I find myself standing rooted, watching her shoulders shake. Half an hour later, Derek emerges from Tyler's room with both boys trailing behind him. Alex's face is flushed with anger, but Tyler's expression is thoughtful, his eyes finding mine with something like apology. "We'll be at the residence inn until I figure something out," Derek tells Mom, who hasn't moved from her spot on the floor. "The boys will still go to school. We'll sort out schedules later." He disappears into his home office, returning moments later with a worn teddy bear with a missing eye. My breath catches. Mr. Button. I haven't seen him since I was 11. Derek holds the bear out to me. "Found this in a box in the attic last week. Should have given it to you then." I take Mr. Button, my fingers automatically finding the worn spot on his ear I used to rub when I couldn't sleep after my parents' divorce. "Thank you," I manage. Derek nods once. "I never gave you a chance, Lana. I let myself believe what I was told because it was easier." He glances at Mom, who watches us with devastation etched across her face. "I'm sorry. For whatever that's worth now." It's worth something, but I don't know how to say that. Instead, I clutch Mr. Button tighter and nod. The front door closes behind them with a quiet click, not a slam. Somehow that's worse. The voicemails pile up, Mom's voice growing more desperate with each one. "Lana, please call me back. I know you're upset, but we need to talk." "Baby, I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Please." I understand if you hate me right now, but I'm still your mother. You can't shut me out forever. But I can, at least for now. The gifts start arriving at Dad's apartment the following week. A professional camera lens that costs more than Dad's monthly rent, a leather-bound photo album, a silver bracelet with a camera charm. Dad stacks them unopened in the hall closet. "What do you want to do with these?" he asks. "I don't know," I answer honestly. "I'm not ready to deal with them yet." Then Mom shows up at school during lunch period. I'm sitting with Emma under the oak tree, reviewing French vocabulary, when a commotion near the parking lot catches our attention. "Isn't that your mom?" Emma asks, squinting. I turn to see Mom arguing with Mr. Peterson, the vice principal. Her voice carries across the courtyard. I have every right to see my daughter. Students turn to stare as I sink lower against the tree trunk, my journey. "She's making a scene," I whisper. Again. Emma grips my hand. "Want to go inside?" Before I can answer, Mom breaks away from Mr. Peterson and spots me. "Lana," she calls, starting toward us. 2 security guards intercept her, but not before everyone in the courtyard connects the dots. The whispers start immediately, adding a fresh layer to the humiliation. That night, Dad makes the call I've been dreading but expecting. "I'm filing for a temporary restraining order," he tells me, his voice gentle but firm. "This can't continue." I nod, throat tight. I know. The judge's chambers feel ancient and imposing, dark wood paneling, absorbing the light, heavy leather chairs, the smell of furniture polish and old books. Judge Harmon peers at me over reading glasses, her expression neutral but kind. "Lana, I'd like to hear from you directly," she says. "In your own words." I straighten my shoulders, grateful for Dad's solid presence beside me. I've rehearsed what to say, but now the carefully prepared words scatter. "I was invisible," I begin, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "For 3 years, I lived in a house where I was treated like an inconvenience. Not abused, nothing that dramatic. Just erased, little by little." I take a breath. I thought it was me, that I wasn't trying hard enough, wasn't likable enough. Then I found out my mother had been deliberately undermining my relationships with my stepfather and stepbrothers from the beginning. I described the text messages, the lies, the constant subtle reinforcement of the narrative that I was difficult and unwilling to blend with our new family. When Mom takes the stand, she's composed at first. Designer suit, perfect makeup covering the shadows under her eyes. But when Dad's attorney hands her the printed text message, her own words to Derek about Mesh crumbles. "I just wanted him to love me," she sobs, mascara tracking down her cheeks. "I was afraid of losing him." "So you sacrificed your relationship with your daughter instead?" the judge asks, her voice measured but sharp. Mom has no answer for that. The ruling comes faster than expected. Dad receives primary custody. Mom gets supervised visitation twice a month, pending completion of family therapy. Derek files for divorce the following week. The house goes on the market shortly after. I watch from Dad's kitchen window as the for sale sign goes up, feeling nothing but a strange emptiness. Mom runs a small apartment across town, alone. Tyler texts me occasionally. We meet for coffee one rainy Saturday, both of us awkward but trying. "I should have figured it out sooner," he says, stirring his hot chocolate. "All those times she'd tell us you said stuff about us that seemed weird." "It wasn't your job to figure it out," I tell him. "We were all being manipulated." He nods, looking older than 14. Dad's different now. Better, I think. More present. That's good, and I mean it. Later that week, coming out of Dad's apartment building, I spot Mom's car parked across the street. She sits behind the wheel watching. I pretend not to see her as Dad, and I head to his car, laughing about a joke he just told. As Dad pulls away from the curb, I glance back. Mom is still there, a solitary figure behind glass, watching what she lost slip further away. I turn forward, facing the road ahead. I arranged the framed photograph of the abandoned barn precisely 1 inch from the edge of my desk. The late afternoon light filters through my new curtains deep blue, not the pale yellow of my old room, and catches on the silver picture frame Dad gave me last week. "It matches your eye for detail," he'd said, his voice warm with a pride I'm still getting used to hearing. This room in Dad's apartment has become mine in ways my space at Mom and Derek's house never was. Photography prints line the walls not in matching frames, but in an organized chaos that feels right. My camera sits on its special shelf, a silent witness to my rebuilding. My phone buzzes. "Tyler, still on for Sunday dinner?" I smile and text back, "Yes, Susan's making lasagna." Susan, Dad's girlfriend, wasn't part of my life before. Now she teaches me to cook on weekends, never pushing too hard for connection, but offering it all the same. I opened my desk drawer and touched the birthday card from Derek. The message inside was brief, awkward, but sincere. "Wishing you a good year ahead. You deserve better." I haven't answered it. Some wounds need more than words to heal. My grades came back yesterday as in 1B+. The photography teacher wrote, "Your perspective is maturing beautifully. Your shadows and light series shows remarkable depth." The word depth makes me smile. Dr. Levine, my therapist, uses that word a lot. "What you've experienced has created depth in you, Lana." She told me last session, her voice steady as I described the day I found Mom's note. But depth doesn't have to mean darkness. I'm learning she's right. The betrayal hasn't disappeared. It lives in me like a scar, but it no longer bleeds at the slightest touch. Last weekend, Dad taught me to parallel park on the quiet streets near the river. His patience was infinite, each correction gentle. "Try again. You've got this." So different from Derek's tight-lipped frustration or Mom's nervous hovering. Under my bed sits a wooden box Dad helped me build. Inside are photos from before Mom and me building sandcastles, her smile genuine, her eyes fixed only on me. I don't look at them often, but I can't throw them away either. Dr. Levine says that's healthy, acknowledging what was real while accepting what is. A thick cream envelope arrived yesterday, delivered by Mom's attorney. I waited until Dad was home to read it. "I don't expect forgiveness," Mom wrote in her careful handwriting. "I chose wrong again and again until I couldn't find my way back. Your photography show is next month. I won't come unless you want me there, but know that I'm proud of who you are, despite my role in your pain." I read it by Dad's fireplace, tears tracking silently down my face. After an hour, I wrote 3 words on a plain note card. "I need time." Dad mailed it without comment. The Christmas ornament she sent to delicate silver camera hangs from my curtain rod, catching light at odd moments. A reminder. A possibility. Tomorrow is the school art show. My photograph, Absence and Empty House viewed through a rain-streaked window, will be featured. Tyler and Alex are coming. They're trying, in their awkward teenage boy way, to build something new. I stand on Dad's small balcony, camera in hand. The setting sun turns the city gold, then rose, then deepening blue. This place feels like home now. My phone lights up with a text from Mom. "Your work is beautiful, you always were." My finger hovers over reply as I breathe in the cooling evening air, my gaze steady on the horizon. Not yet, but maybe someday.